Let's say I were to tell you I'm from India.
Okay.
Okay? You have no reason to doubt me. You probably believe I'm from India.
Yeah.
Now, you don't actually know that.
It depends on what you mean by no.
Well,
and
are you 100% sure?
No. Is 100% certainty required for knowledge?
Not necessarily, but
I would
what's
agree.
your bar?
So I don't think you can be 100% certain about anything.
Okay.
Which is why I abandon the notion of certainty, which is why when I talk about knowledge, I talk about it as a subset of belief and it is a confidence level. But also, I genuinely don't really, I'm unimpressed when someone says they know something, because we don't wait till we have knowledge to act. We act in accordance with our beliefs. And whether or not your belief rises to the level of knowledge doesn't change what your action's gonna be.
All right. So let's sort of circle back to where I was going with the three big questions. And I think
we started with death.
You were in violent agreement that the cause, that we don't know, the cause of the universe, we don't know any prescribed purpose for our lives. We try to discover it, but we don't know it. And we don't know what happens after death.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that anything does, but I definitely would agree. We don't know.
Fair enough. Now, let me ask you this question. What do you do about belief when you are in exactly this position? If something is true, it would have tremendous implications. For example, you would concede that if there was life after death, that would greatly affect the way we think about life on Earth now.
It would.
Depending on what that life looked like.
And depending on whether or not anything in this life had any impact on that life.
Correct.
But
right.
Yes.
So let's just say if the religious narratives are correct, and there is some sort of cosmic justice in which, let's just say, the crimes that are the undiscovered crimes of this life have to be accounted for in a future life, we would probably have to start thinking about all the stuff that we get away with in private, because even though we escape human accounting, there would be some sort of presumably divine accounting. So in other words, all I'm trying to establish is that there's a relevance to these questions, even if we don't definitively know anything about them, anything about the answer matters which way we go.
I agree the answer matters. It's just that the answer right now is, I don't know, and you can play the what-if game for any one of them. What if there's nothing? What if it's the end? What if there's a being who's going to judge you based on whether or not you fell for things without sufficient evidence? What if that's the criteria?
Okay, so what you seem to say is, I think about something, and if I really can't answer the question, right, I take the default position that that something doesn't exist until evidence shows up that's going to convince me it does.
Of course.
That's your view.
That is sound epistemology. That accepting,
sound epistemology according to whom? According to you.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's go according to me, because I don't need to cite anybody else.
Right.
Because I'm right. Because
okay, hold on. So let's see if you're right. Let's see if you're right.
The alternative would be to say that I'm justified in believing something before there's sufficient evidence for it.
But I would argue that you do that every day. Let's give you a cardinal example.
But that doesn't change the fact whether I should.
You should. I'm saying you do.
We're all going to make mistakes.
You do and you should. Look, our life is always lived in anticipation of an unknown future, right? You're dating a woman.
Yes.
And so what you do is, you, being a very reasonable guy, plug in all this data, right, about this woman, and you're trying to make a rational decision, let's say. Is this the woman I want to spend my life with? Let's assume you're thinking about that question.
For the sake of your argument, we'll assume I'm thinking about that.
Okay. Now, I would argue that in reality, given the way human beings are, you could never really know what life with this person is going to be like, let's just say over the next 30 years. First of all, you'll be different people in 10 years, or different people in 30 years. So this question about what it's going to be like is unanswerable with any high degree of certainty, correct?
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I, unlike many religions, actually support the notion of divorce, and I'm opposed to the notion that there's a soulmate out there that you're going to be everything to forever. If we're both in agreement that we don't know what the future holds, I don't make a decision to say...
But if you'll pardon me, that's a tediously predictable response. I'm not going there. Where I'm going with is the fact...
I didn't think you were going there.
No, because... Right. Where I'm really going with is the fact that in making a decision of whether or not to be with this person, yes or no, you are necessarily taking a huge leap of faith.
No.
No.
No. see, that's the thing. The way I operate my life, and maybe I'm a weirdo, is, so for example, in this case, I have no plans to end this relationship, and neither does she, but we are both adults, and there were 2 rules: be honest, have fun. That's it. That's all. Be honest, enjoy life. And as long as we're both honest, we can reevaluate the nature of our relationship at any point. I am friends with every one of my exes, including my ex-wife, who I just spoke to. We went into it with this optimism that perhaps we would spend the rest of our lives together, and with the realistic notion that it doesn't happen. Anybody who, the divorce rate's 50 some odd %, anybody who goes into a marriage now thinking, we're never gonna get divorced, is already in opposition with the actual data. And so I, as a huge proponent of David Hume, one of my favorite quotes from him, is that the wise man proportions his belief to the evidence. So my confidence in any proposition, including this particular relationship lasting until I die, is based on whatever data I have. I don't have some delusion that some other people want to run around with. I've found the person and we're definitely going to be together forever because life is uncertain. And it seems that rather than engaging in that self-deception, I'm fine saying, this is what I hope happens. I hope that I am with you for the rest of my life. I hope that, or for the rest of our lives or whatever, but I don't have an unrealistic expectation.